Hi, my name is Shannon Seaver. Today we are looking at section 5.6 of our text, and that is dedicated to exponents. The main thing we're going to be looking at is simplifying exponents by using their properties. So this is the page or the screen that will show you that of most of the property rules of exponents, and it would be very important for you to write all these down because you will need to memorize these so that you can do the activities for this section. All right, so property rule. The product rule. Product rule is when you are multiplying two exponents together and they have the same base. And what I mean by the same base is notice that they both have n for the base. When you multiply those together, you are actually adding the exponents. So another example of that would be 2 to the 5th times 2 to the 3rd. That would be 2 to the 8th because I'm adding the two exponents together and keeping the base the same. So that is the product rule. The quotient rule is like the product rule, but we're dividing this time. And so instead of adding the exponents, we're subtracting them. So notice it's x minus y. So this would be, if I took the same ones that I had over to the left, 2 to the 5th over 2 to the 3rd, this would be the same as saying 5 minus 3, so it would be 2 to the 2nd. Okay, in the product rule, you have an exponent of an exponent. So because of that, you are actually going to be multiplying the exponents together. So if I had 2 to the 5th to the 2nd, this would be the same as saying 2 to the 10th. I'm multiplying those two exponents together. The negative rule is kind of interesting because whenever you have a negative exponent, really it flips it on its head. It makes the reciprocal of that. So if I have 2 to the negative 3rd, that is the same thing as saying 1 over 2 to the 3rd. And when we're doing math, in the standard form of any kind of exponent is that we don't like having negative exponents. So all of your answers need to be in a positive exponent form. Okay, we'll talk more about that in the next couple slides. Power of a product. This is kind of like reverse distribution because that x needs to go to both the n and the m. So notice that they both get 1. So if I have 2 times 3 to the 3rd power, that's the same as saying 2 to the 3rd times 3 to the 3rd. Power of a quotient is the exact same thing. On this one, both the n and the m both get an x. So if I have 2 to the 3rd, 2 over 3 to the 3rd, it's the same as saying 2 to the 3rd over 3 to the 3rd. The zero exponent. This one, when you have anything to the 0 power, that really is 1, and I mean anything. So it could be negative 500 to the 0 power, that's 1. And it can be an object to the 0 power, it's 1. So anything to the 0 power is the number 1. The exponent of 1 is itself. So I can say 3 to the 1, that's going to be 3. But remember, 3 to the 0, that's 1. So let's take some of these and put this into practice, some of the rules that we have just learned. Remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. Now this one, we have, remember we're going to have to distribute that 0. So it would be 3 to the 0 and pi to the 0. But remember, anything to the 0 power is 1. So it would be 1 times 1, which is 1. This one is to the negative exponent, so it would be 1 over 8 squared. And this one as well would be 1 over 5 to the 3rd. Now on the next screen, I have a bit of a challenge for you. I want you to try to stop the video and see if you can get the same answer as I do. Otherwise, just keep watching because these are a little bit more challenging. Okay, so first of all, this is the power rule. So I can multiply those two together. So it's 2 to the 12th. Okay, and this one, the 0 power, is a 1, so I can drop that. So I have 2 to the 4th over 2 to the 12th top. 2 to the 4th on top, 2 to the 12th on the bottom. So now this is the same as saying 2 to the 4 minus 12. That's the quotient rule. So it'll be 2 to the negative 8. Now remember, we do not want to leave anything in its negative power. So this will be 1 over 2 to the 8th as a final answer. This one's interesting because the entire thing in the parentheses has this negative 2. So one of the things I would recommend doing is going ahead and doing the flip of the entire thing, the reciprocal. So this will be 2 times 2 to the negative 3rd over 2 to the negative 1 to the 2nd power. So we've done that. Now I want to simplify the inside of this, and before we can do that, I'm going to give everything on the inside this positive 2. So it'll be 2 to the 2nd times 2 to the negative 3 times 2 over 2 to the negative 1 times 2. Okay, so 2 to the 2nd times 2 to the negative 6 over 2 to the negative 2nd. Okay, so this on top, we need to add those exponents together. So 2 plus negative 4, that's going to be a negative, 2 plus negative 6 is a negative 4. Got ahead of myself. Okay, so now we use the quotient rule. So it's going to be negative 4 minus a minus 2. So that's going to be 2 to the negative 2. And we can't leave it in negative form, so it'll be 1 over 2 squared is our final answer. So that one was a bit of a challenge. If you have any questions on any of these, please bring them to class tomorrow.